Kim and Tina had such a great conversation with Andrea.edelen and Misty Mattingly about working with a DSO. So much so, we kept talking after we finished part 1 of Pros in the DSO. Friends, I'm telling you, it was wonderful. So on this episode of RDH Coast to Coast, Tina snuck in and hit record again, so you can listen in as the four of us continue chatting about DSOs, especially for those of you who are new hygienists entering the workforce. We know you will enjoy part 2 of this conversation with Misty and Andrea, pros of DSOs.
Hire a new grad doesn't mean that they have any idea what it takes to hire a new grad. So just because they're going to hire you doesn't mean that they know how to support you. And that is a question that I always say that they should ask is, have you ever hired a new grad before? Have you ever worked with a new grad? And what are you doing to help me grow in my career?
Well, without that clinical support, like Misty said earlier, I mean, okay, great. They say, okay, we're hiring a new grad. We'll get them instruments. Well, some new grads really don't even know what instruments to ask for, right? I mean,
they don't know what they like. They don't have their favorites yet.
they've not been in the trenches yet. And there's a lot of boxes you have to check to be able to pass your boards and do all those things that the programs they don't have time for that. They can't completely equip them
scared to ask.
Yeah.
Well, and schools are just trying to get you to get students to minimal competence. Yeah. Minimal competence, because once you're out, then you're going to be able to go even further. So that's, I think every instrument is just minimal competence.
They lay the foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I wish every program did this. They don't. So I guess it's not required, but the program that I went to, University of Louisville, which is still in my hometown where I live, their last 4 weeks of their second year, or their last year, they do a rotation in a practice. And so we have them for 4 weeks.
Wow.
And they can, and I did that too, as in my last 4 weeks. That's how long this has been in place at the University of Louisville. But, same thing. I mean, we don't want to throw those new grads in that last 4 weeks. And like your first day, in the practice, we have this whole process that they follow. But truly, I feel like that type of opportunity really equips them to, start working in the real world. And I know so many programs don't have that rotation, and it makes a really big difference. I hear really positive things from the practice and from the hygienist, because a lot of the times, even on those working interviews that these new grads are going to, Kim, you're talking to them all the time. They might have an 8-hour day, maybe. They might have 45 minutes, and they're expected to accept the job.
Right.
Right. Yeah. See, I'm not a fan of working interviews. I'm against them.
Oh, you are? Really? Why is that, Misty?
Well, because I think everybody's always on their best behavior for just a day.
My point exactly.
And I think the same, I think from both perspectives, from the employer perspective and from the employee perspective. So I'm all about let's get you started and give it a try, for more so than doing a working interview. Or if I do a working interview, I want it more than just a day. Because I don't think a day is fair for, me to figure out if you're the place I want to be. And also if, from the employee standpoint, if you're the right fit, because everybody can act okay for one day.
Right.
And what if it's a day where everything was, definitely, I think a seasoned hygienist kind of knows more what to look for in that time, but a new grad has no idea. Right. And so what if it's that day where everything went great today? So nobody's stressed out. No, the doctor's okay. Nothing threw the doc off the edge or anything like that. And so that's like that rotation, I think really would help a new grad. Identify the things like, this is what I want. It might not be perfect, but there are some things about this practice, this team that I want. And you also, it's kind of like temping, right?
Right.
You temp and you're like, I actually would never want to work here. Or
right.
There are some things they do here that are fantastic. I want to share this. I want to pass this along. Or you know what? I actually might accept a regular position here. So you're exactly right. I mean, a 2-hour or even 8-hour time frame, you really can't get in there and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. From my understanding, there is a school here in Oregon that does a external rotation, kind of like that, where they're at a practice for 3 to 4 weeks at a time, and then they have to go to another one. So they've got almost 8 weeks where they're at least at 2 different locations, and they have to be very, very different. One of them might be a public health entity and one that is a non-public health entity. So that way the students can get an idea of what it's like in both environments. Yeah. And it seems like it's very successful.
Yeah, that's what my hygiene school did. We had private practice days, as they called them, but they were in the clinic though. And we did that. And then we rotated through like more public health sites, right?
Yeah,
but like the Good Samaritan was more of like an hour appointment, and so forth. And I think that's the other thing we did talk about too, is like, I don't think, you hear these terrible things about, oh, this DSO made me do like 15-minute appointments or something. I mean, that's not a place I would work out either.
Yeah.
So
well, there's private offices that do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So and I'm just saying, you're right. It's private practice too. I shouldn't say DSOs. I'm saying, but I've heard people say that. I don't know where those places are, to be honest with you, but I hear people say that. And that's not a place I would want to work. That's not a place I don't think either of you would want to work. Right. Like that's not what we stand for. And that's not what you're really going to see in the DSO community. Is like, we know that if you provide good care to your patients, and I provide you time to educate, get to know your patients, those patients are going to come back. Absolutely. Right. And they're going to do more with you, versus somebody that we just rush them through.
So do you think that maybe a great question for somebody coming in who's interviewing at a place that they may or may not know it's part of a DSO, especially if it's still kind of branded private practice like, is, are you part of a DSO, and what does that organizational structure look like? Was it founded by dental professionals, or was it founded by a non-dental professional? Because I wonder if the ones that have that reputation are non-dental professional founded, because you guys are both dental professional founded organizations.
Right.
I think the problem is I don't think people know exactly what to ask still. And how could they, right? So I think that's why there's still that, like, I think, my advice would be just ask about clinical support, to Misty's point, and clinical autonomy.
Yeah.
Because standardization scares some people, entices some people, but the standardization that a lot of us in the DSO world talk about isn't necessarily standard, even if we have standardized appointments. So, I mean, we have a patient services call center. We have to have some standardization on times. We have to. We can't have 140 different preferences, right? But even with the standardization, there is that autonomy to make adjustments, just like I had in my schedule in private practice. I know, when you see the same people time after time after time, oh, Betty Jane, I mean, you better put an extra 20 minutes on for Betty Jane, because, she'll be here a long time. And then you've got that other person, you're like, get in and out, you know what, I might schedule them 40 minutes next time because it's only a perio maintenance. I don't need an exam. They come every 3 months like clockwork. That's the autonomy that I think gets missed, the concept when people start to ask, like, well, how long are your appointments? And, we have to standardize in DSOs to a certain point, or what's the point, right? Because we're all over the place, if we don't standardize some. But having that autonomy to make those adjustments, to me, really is the key, where you have like the best of both worlds.
Yes, absolutely.
Agreed.
We also talk about CE. So next time we can kind of talk about, I do think that, for a DSO, we have so many different educational opportunities. I mean, Misty, you mentioned the AAP, staging and grading. We still have people coming in that never even heard of it.
Agreed.
And, we were on top of it, but not even like this year we did, we offer a lot of CE, and we can actually provide the CE and those types of things. And we've done that for a long time, but there's still those kind of one-off requests, right? Where people are like, can we do a CE on, ergonomics or sex trafficking. And we weren't built for that yet to do every single thing. I mean, who could do everything every single person wanted? So we got all of our hygienists a CE Zoom subscription this year to kind of supplement the things that we were already doing.
Great idea.
But you do hear from a lot of hygienists that they might have like this one thing a year, or that they have to pay for it all on their own, whatever CE they get. And, it's great now because there's a lot of really great free CE, but that hasn't always been the case. Some, really good CE used to cost a lot. So that's another, I would say, perk of a DSO. I mean, we've had some fantastic speakers like Tracy Butler. I don't know if you know her. She's like implants and Strawman. She's amazing. We've had her. We've had just so many, really. I mean, I can't even go into it.
Well, you're going to have Teacher Tina come pretty soon.
I know. I was about to say, you got to get Teacher Tina.
Right?
Okay. So do you travel around?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. She does.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll talk.
Okay. Yep.
We'll talk. Absolutely.
Sounds great.
For sure.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm so glad I hit record again and on this. So we captured this last little bit. So we will have a kind of a bonus part 2 that will come out with this. So so since we have that, and Misty, I know that you need to get going because you have your own podcast that you're getting off to. So
yes,
since we're
Hygiene Happy Hour.
Since we're recording, can you please we'll include this in for everybody who listens to part 2 of this bonus here. How, if people want to connect up with you, Misty, with Sage, and whatever, can you just tell us real quick? And we'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, you can reach out to me at MMattingly at mysagedental.com, or you can also reach out to me if you're interested in Hygiene Happy Hour, hygienhappyhour.com or hygienhappyhour@gmail.com. That's
awesome.
Where I was going with that.
And Kim and I have both been guests on your podcast. So
yes, you have. I know Kim's is coming up for launch. I kind of take a 2-week hiatus, and one will get dropped this week. So
awesome. And Andrea, how can our listeners connect up with you if they want to know more?
Yeah. So my email is andrea.edelen at mdpweb.net, but I'm on all this, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find, but yeah, if you just searched out Mortensen Dental, I'm there too.
Awesome. So like I said, we'll have all that in the show notes too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome night.
Yes,
all right.
Thank you guys.
Bye. Have a great podcast.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for doing this. I mean, really, honestly and truly.
Yeah.
We got to change the
We do.
out there.
We do.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you to our sponsor, Dental Post, the nation's largest dental job board. Be sure to check them out for different types of employment resources. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. And make sure you follow Tina and Kim on all the different social medias to learn other tips and tricks related to dentistry. Until next time, have a great day.